Representative from Toledo.
Yes,
Welcome, Erica.
thank
Um,
you.
just a little bit of background. So, as you know, I'm a recruiter for Demand a Seat, and I can't take credit for Erica because I found out from someone that she was going to be running for state rep in the Toledo area, and I reached out to her and said, "Hey, can I get you in our program?" So that's how we met a couple years ago, right?
Yes, a couple of years. It seems like it went really fast, but yes, it's been 2 years. I can't believe it either.
Wow. So, Erica, tell us my whole mission behind Women Lead is bringing more women into leadership, whether that be in politics, in small business, in corporate America, or just leading in your community and in your family. We have women out there that have lots of brilliance to share, and I want them to see it in themselves. And I feel like the best way to do that is to show them women like you who are out there doing the work. So tell me about who you are and why you decided to run for office. And I love that you're sitting there in your state house office with the
Thank
Capitol
you. It
on the
gets a little
screen.
better there. Not so much ceiling, but pretty
Yeah,
much we have a lot of ceiling here. So,
yeah. So tell us, just start. Let's start talking. Tell me about you.
well, when you asked what made me just, you asked again what made me decide to run. I think, like most women, it wasn't that I felt that I had the ability to run or the knowledge to do that. And so, while most people have these long, prolific stories, I don't. I really had the same thing, which we hear so many women speak about, which is how can I make my community better? I have a daughter. My daughter's pregnant. I have a granddaughter, but that was before she was pregnant. And there were so many young people around. And I already had a big background in being a labor leader. And again, another tough place to be for women. And at the same time, seeing so many things that were starting to change, the legislation that negatively impacted the progress, and I would say some of many of the protections that allowed me to be where I am today. And so I was really concerned about future generations. So when people ask why am I here, what is my motivation? I don't want us to lose everything that we've gained in one generation, um, in this in 4 years or 2 years, because we're so focused on now that we can't continue to fight for the future. And so that's it. It just really hits me even now to think about that the work we're doing now is not that we're going to maybe get a lot done, but we're stopping a lot of the bad effects or things that are really going to set women back, you know, hundreds of years, where we moved ahead so significantly, and it's taken such a long time. And so being here means a lot to me because I'm able to focus on economic justice, which I believe is the basis of when we talk about women, right? When we talk about the future, if we're able to earn and afford housing and education and being able to have an active role and be safe and be able to take care of ourselves and our families, which women, that's our role as women. We really are, whether there are biological families or adopted families or extended families. That is something in a community that women really care about overall. And so, me being here, my choosing to run wasn't because I ever thought that I had like all this experience or all of what was needed. I just had the passion to do it.
Oh, I love that because so many women don't pursue what they really want to do in their life because they don't think they have the qualifications to do
Right.
it. And I believe that the only thing it takes is passion because if you care about people, if you care about the issue that
Yes.
you're trying to solve, you're going to learn along the way and
Absolutely.
you're going to be able to make it happen. So one of the things that kind of got me into politics is this book. It's called Represent. Have you ever heard of this?
Have not, but I'm writing that down because I will be going. I love reading, so I'll
It's
be writing that down too.
it's
Represent.
kind of like a little fun workbook. It's the Women's Guide to Running for Office and Changing the World. And what I love about it, and it's the first time I'd really thought about it, is it talks about how we need women like you and I, women in small communities, we don't just need rich men telling us what to do, right?
Right.
Um,
Absolutely.
it if we're gonna have if we're gonna have a government of the people, then it truly needs to be of the people. And
Absolutely.
that's kind of what got me started in this. And I heard in this book, you'll read all of these stories, and I'm talking today about the federal level because that's what we hear all the time. Unfortunately, we have the popular ones. Um, but for example, Christy Nome is in this book. Her story about how incredible it was that she lost her dad in a farming accident. She went back to the farm um, to run the thing. She decided to run for office to help small business owners, and she went all the way through the political ranks. And then we see what happened to her there. And
Amazing. I'm like excited to read that. That's
right,
inspiring to me.
so it's amazing that well, all right, I don't want to get this wrong. As
You
I read this
can't
book,
get it wrong.
right? So you tell me if I'm really off base here. But as I read this book and I was reading these stories, Elise Stefanik is in here, Christy Nome is in here, Nikki Haley, all of these women that we expected to be leaders. And what I found from a lot of them is that they caved to the men. When they got to a certain level, they forgot why they started
Yeah.
and they caved to the men. The women that didn't do that, the women in this book that didn't do that are the women of color. And when I first started looking, what's the common denominator between the AOCs and the Ayanna Pressley and uh, Jaya Powell? I can't think of her. I don't know her first name, but Tammy Duckworth, all of these women that keep fighting, Kamala Harris, that keep fighting and don't give in.
Right.
Is it that they're Democrats or versus Republicans or what is it? And the only thing that kept coming back is that they're women of color. Tell me about that. Is that
That's interesting. I'm learning, and I never thought about it in that sense, but I think that is part of it is that I've been in a class before, and we were going through how hard, like they're always like, well, you have to work twice as hard, or women work this hard much harder. And one of the things that we were able to finally learn that actually that's just being a woman is the beginning of that intersectionality. The bigger pieces and parts are being a woman of color. So you're actually working 6 to 8 times as hard. And when you talk about that, that is not like how do I say it's not an excuse that is to be made at all by women or women of color. It's just saying that I know what it takes for me to get just to achieve that bare minimum status and overcoming, a gender, just saying you're a woman. I'll just say it that way. You're a woman, so you're
right?
not as smart or not as powerful. Or now you're a woman that comes from a family that has not been able to obtain or maintain wealth over generations because of the way things work in systemic racism. You also may already have a child or grew up in a single family household. Moving on to the fact that education and trying to stabilize yourself to prove that you can speak well, you can write well, and you can do all these things. Well, you're talking about then you're actually working 6 to 8 times harder. And so once you are able to, as I, am with a lot of help, not just me alone, but putting in all that work, once you get to that point, you are really focused on what it takes to help someone else and the importance of you staying in that space. And so it's not a singular focus where I'm constantly worried about, oh, am I going to be reelected? How I'm going to look to my peers in this. You're really focused on the urgency of what continues to happen or at like just tap away and pull away from where we're supposed to be headed. And so it's that just that passion that is just very much connected to the place of where you come. And I always tell people it's not where you came from, it's where you are. And when you get to where we are, I would say this, Shirley Chisholm is one of my favorite and most fierce female leaders. And I remember she would talk about bringing what did she say? Bring your chair to the table, right? If they don't invite you to the table, you bring it there. But we're
Right.
there as women, we have to realize we are at that table. We are there. No longer need to worry about bringing a chair. We need to we're changing the table. So as we move forward, each generation, we can't continue. Yes, it's important to remember what people did before us and how we got here. But what are you doing to continue that? And for myself as a woman, yeah, I want to get to that table. But as a Black woman, as a woman that represents all women, I believe that I need to change the table. So whether I'm making the table bigger, longer, enlarging it, but also changing again, when I'm sitting there, I'm not willing to cower down in my voice because it took me, first of all, a long time to get there. I had to work so much harder. But now that I'm there, I'm not just there to be status quo and to bring my own chair. I'm using your chair, I'm pulling it up, and I'm going to make sure that table starts to change.
Ah, I love that. You know what it took to get there, and you didn't fight that hard to just get there, settle in, and say,
Right,
"Oh, I'm going to keep my seat." Right?
right. And that's a big difference. And
Yeah.
that drive, but I never thought about it to that extent until you mentioned that from that book. This is what we do. You get in there. I'm not just going to sit there. And I'm also going to challenge other women that I'm with and other males are there. And we're all leaders in that space to say, what are we going to do to leave a legacy for the future, but also change where someone got us this far. So are we just going to sit here and be like, hey, we're here, we're fine, let's get comfortable? Or we're going to say, let's continue to forge on, not only for ourselves, but for the next generation of people coming behind us?
Mm, I love that. I have women who come, they're probably in their 70s, maybe even 80s, and they'll send me messages like, Andrea, I've been fighting for this for decades and passing the torch on to you. And I think, why are we still fighting this? And
Mhm.
part of the reason that we're still fighting is that women are conditioned to fight each other instead of fight
Yeah.
the others, right? Like, so I guess that's my mission, is to get more women supporting each other. And the way we do that is we hear each other's stories and we understand, gosh, Eric and I are totally different. You're from the city, I'm from a tiny little town in rural Ohio. And we are the same in so many ways. And we want the same things.
You do. And there's not, I really look at, I think if you hear the word sis and you hear Black women use that a lot, and we're like, hey sis, hey sis. And it is really, it's not just this fun thing we call each other. It is really a deeper meaning to that. When you call someone sis, it means that I see you for who you are and where we're connected at. Not that we're the same, not that we're going to have agree on everything, but we're from the same place or we're moving in the same direction. So if I say, hey, sis, I'm so glad for you, or this is my sister, it is the camaraderie and the growth that we need to continue to have, and realizing that when we say that, it's not that we're the same. It just means that we have the same values, and we want to be or gain the same economic growth and stability for not only ourselves but our families, but also seeing how we are different, and it's good to be different. I mean,
It is good to
there's
be
no other
different.
way to say that. That's the places I've grown the most. I'll share with you have been when I've been in a space with someone like yourself, Andrea, that I don't know about, a small town, or maybe I don't know about, what crocheting. I'm giving an example, which is, or
Sure.
I don't know how to. I didn't come from a big family, so maybe you have 10 brothers and sisters. There's something that I see, and maybe that we also don't agree on. So not only that, how we grew up, but how we view things that allows growth. Growth doesn't happen if I only have people around with me that agree with me 100%, that only see things, only have my experience. We have growth and true change we bring people around us that are sisters that have other experiences that allow us to expand our growth, because that's how we expand our thought process. That's how we expand where we want to be and also the things we want to change.
Yeah. And it's so important to accept other people into your circle. That you're right. That's how you learn. That's what I love to do.
Yes,
I
we
obviously
do.
experience life totally different, but it's helpful to me to understand how other people experience life because we're all looking at it through the same lens and we're all working toward the same goal. So, what advice would you give to any woman who wants to be a leader in something, whether it's run for office or just start something that makes a positive impact in the world? What advice would you give her?
Wow. The first thing is to know you can do it. I think that sometimes, I would say a lot of times that women are like, I think I'm too busy, or I don't have what it takes. I'm not smart enough. I don't have everything. I'm gonna wait. We as women have this thing, and I call it the weight factor, like WEIGHT, the weight factor. Where I was also working health and wellness before coming here, and women say, "Well, I'm not gonna buy that dress until I lose this weight. I'm not going to feel more confident until I look like this. I'm not going to do this." And I remember saying, well, if I could say it, that's BS. I was like, you can do all those things right now. As you attain those goals, you only become better. So the first thing I would tell any woman who want to start off is that you don't need to wait till you're perfect or what your ideal of perfect is. You already have it just by thinking and hoping and saying, I think I can do this. You can. So start there. You're not waiting to some perfect moment. Let that go. Find other
Mm.
women who are like minded. Again, maybe not be the same as you 100%, maybe not be the same ethnicity or have the same background or even grew up in the same place, but are focused on doing those great things or good things that you want to do, whether it's maybe you want to change something in health and wellness, or you want to see something happen in education, maybe just in your community in general, having clean streets, whatever it is. Start to connect with people that can support you. So find that group. And then the next thing, of course, is find out how, and again, this is when we're talking about working that 4 to 5 to 6 times harder. It's going to pay off, because as you're doing this, you also want to find people who believe in you. So again, knowing that you can do it, finding someone to mentor and help you, but finding again who believe you can do it. And sometimes it's just your mom. It sounds funny. It's your mom,
No.
your
Yeah.
sister. When I first started teaching aerobic classes, and this has been there, same thing I used to being here, I would teach and there were 10 people. I remember there were 5 to 10 people would show up in this church basement. And it was my mom, my sister, my best friend, and my other friend. And so most of the time it was my friends. But believe it or not, don't overlook. We have this tendency to want to reach up and out. Reach right there. There are people around you, women that thought they couldn't do it either. So by you stepping forward and including people right next to you in that circle, um, you are doing something more significant. You're building a platform, and we don't. Platforms can move up and down, but we want a platform that builds out. And the way we build out is to reaching out to women that are sitting right beside us. It's not necessary to go out and find Christy Nome and bring her in. I'm not saying that it wouldn't be cool. It would, but there's a Christy Nome right in your community. There's someone that is going to become that. So while you're moving forward and believing and knowing you can and work for it, don't forget to reach out to women sitting right next to you. And that has been something that I'm not just speaking from. It is something that happened very organically that I didn't expect. And there started to be more people teaching aerobics, more people saying, I think I'm going to run for office. More people are saying, I believe in this. I'm going to start reading that. If Erika can do it, and you pull them in. And if we can just do that, don't think of your journey as something that is alone. Your journey is something you can lead, but you want to make sure that you have others around with you.
Mm. So, how do you think? I don't want to talk about Christy Nome because what
No,
she's
we don't have
doing
to.
now is so far from what she started doing.
Yes.
And it's really disappointing and sad that she went that route when she had a really promising beginning. But how do you resist that?
Mhm.
Talk to me a little bit more about that. You're in the state level versus the federal level. You're who I can tell you are who you are. You're out there standing on business and fighting for the people that you started fighting for from day one. That
Absolutely.
is that is so evident to me. And it's the reason I was watching your social media and I'm like, I have to talk to Erika. I have to know what it is in her passion that isn't making her. And I know you already said you had to work 6 to 8 times harder, but how do we build that up in women who look like me
Right.
to
Over here now.
keep in your keep fighting. How do I want to say this? What I want to do, Erika, is I want to build a pipeline of women that come in that, okay, if I stand on what I want and I lose my job because I'm a woman and it's easy for women to get dismissed, then there's going to be another one coming in right behind me that's going
That's
to
right.
fight for her values. How do you do that? How do you keep from becoming the Christy Nomes and Nikki Haley's who say whatever they have to say to keep their
We don't
job
want to do
and
that.
right?
Right. We
How
don't.
do you do that?
A lot of that comes from staying connected to my community, and you could say not having an ego, but I don't think that's the main part of it. The main part is that you have to know who you are, and it sounds very like trite to say that, right?
Mhm.
How do you not know who you are? But when you know who you are, people can't change that. You're going to evolve, you're going to continue to move forward, but you always stand on who you are. And so that is just an important part that I think is missed or overlooked a lot. And the other part is that I also am very open and listening when people give me feedback. And so if you remove yourself from where you started, I'm trying to move over here so you can see I just love my Rosie River picture. So I wanted to make sure to
Yeah, I
get
love
that
it.
there.
It's
Um,
perfect.
when you decide who you are, you have to stand by it. And it's not that I would call it selling out. It is that you're selling up. So when I start to
Mm.
my morals or my values or what I told people I told people who I am, and then I go astray or I don't stay there. I always go back to the beginning. And though people started out what we say in the right way, I don't think they ever truly knew who they were, nor they were looking at moving on, not moving up instead of moving on. And we have to look at where our path is. We have to be sure of who we are when we start. And we also have to make sure that we have others around us that are going to hold us accountable. That is something that most people don't like because um, criticism can be hard, right?
Yeah.
But it's helpful. So you have to have people around you that are going to hold you accountable and stay connected with the community. The other part is what you're sharing is always disappointing when I see people not stay true to who they told people they were, especially in leadership, because you're depending on people. There is just this. There's a lack of. I don't want to say of just a moral compass where you have to decide: are you going to be ambitious, or are you going to be strategic, and you're going to be impactful in your community? And if you're going to be impactful and strategic in your community, you have to stay connected to that community. It doesn't matter if you're state level, federal level, if
Mm.
you're doing something county level, you have to do that. And you can't remove yourself from the people. And though that is very scary, especially as women leaders, because you're like, wow, I'm out here, I'm not sure if it's safe or this or that. But you have to remember those people, if you're afraid of the people who support you or elected you or got you to that point, if you're afraid of keeping in touch with them or having them hold you accountable, then that is a good sign that you need to go back and have a real conversation with yourself. So while we keep people around us, we also have to make sure that we are checking ourselves. Self check is also good. Where are you at? Who have you connected with the last couple of days? Have you made sure that people had access to you? And also, not just access, you listened. A lot of listening has to happen. And when we lose that connection, we don't listen, when we don't have people that we can honestly trust to give us like criticism or feedback that we don't like, then we start to, instead of moving out and building that platform, as I talked about, we start just moving up and only looking at this as something that is for ambition. We lose our drive. What brought us there in
Mhm.
the first place? We did disconnected with what that is. And so we start to look at, I'm just going to use this as some place to get me where I want to be, or I'm going to move up. This is now all about me and my ambition, whether they're coming back to the real reason that you started, which was always supporting others.
Wow.
All right.
I
It's
love
hard.
that
No,
you I
it's a
love
lot.
what you just said because it's so validating. So after I read this book and after I started trying to figure out what is it that women are missing as leaders, that we're not staying with what we started, because in this book it will tell you that women bring more money to their districts. They run for a cause versus running as a men will run as a career choice. Women will run for office as a cause, or to
I never thought
champion a
about that.
cause. Yeah, you're gonna love this. But when I started digging into that, I came up with my own little theory called the growth cycle, and it's four stages. It's connect, learn, grow, and lead. And what I found is that we all have this connect moment, this moment that we see somebody, we see you doing your thing, and we think, "Oh, I want to be like Erika. I want to do that." And then we skip straight from the connect to the grow, which is the how
Right.
stage. And we get all the things that this is how you do it. And then we try to lead. And the piece that we forgot is the learn stage, which is who am I? What do I want? And why do I want it? Because that's knowing who you are. And what I figured out, the reason I called it that growth cycle is because I was skipping that stage over and over. I didn't really know who I was because I had always been a mom, a wife, a woman in my my part-time job. I knew about my roles to other people, but I didn't really know who I was. And once I figured that out and I know what I stand for, it's easy for me to stay in the fight for women because I know that's what I want. And that's what I hear you telling me that it takes. So I love that. I love that my audience gets to hear that from someone who's a real leader, standing on business,
I
doing
appreciate
what she said she was going to do.
No, I appreciate that. And that means a lot. And I didn't, like I said, talking to you today made me realize how those things happen organically. But even as they're happening organically, we have to, if we're not reflecting or doing any self reflection, then we'll miss that, right? What you just said.
Yes.
I'm not going to realize, wow, this that just happens so organically for me is a chance for me to realize and pull in some self reflection of how to build this into where I want to go and who I am. If we don't allow that to happen and we only allow external things around to push us or move us, then we've lost our cause. And I just remember, if I can share this, I remember being in church, and we were in the middle of a church sermon, and I remember they were talking about joy and happiness, and it went back to health and wellness and all of who we are as women. And we think of happiness. Happiness is something that's external. It's something that, if the weather's nice, then I'm happy. If the weather's
Right.
like today, it's rainy and cold, I'm like, I don't feel so. I feel. Again, these are, just think of it that simple. Those are external factors that move us or make us feel a certain way. With joy is inside. If I'm happy and I choose to be happy, it doesn't matter what's going on outside or what's going on around me. I'm going to be joyful because happiness is a condition. Joy, being joyful, is a choice. So if we
Mhm.
know what is happening, again, those are conditions that are going to happen. They're always going to come. That's fine. But if you know the connection, your center of who you are, nothing is going to change that. And even though you may get down or up or things are going to be hard, yeah, but as long as you know centering who you are, where your joy is, what your center is, why you started, the conditions around you can do whatever they want. They don't move or change who you are. And that is the strength you have to have as a woman leader. You have to be centered and you have to know where you are. And no matter what the conditions are happening around you, you're going to stand firm and you're not moving from that. And that is what makes women, again, bringing back money to their districts and being able to speak. It makes us powerful because we know where we have to be to make change.
Wow. Love it. Thank you so much. I know in the interest of time, you're a busy woman. You got to get back to your meetings. Erika is in her office. I don't know if I said that
Yes,
in the
so I
beginning, but
tried to move around a little bit. I have a lot of stuff in here. So thank you. I did want to come in and just, I think if you're going to tell people to believe in something, you have to show them what it is to
yeah.
believe in. We tell people things and we tell them what we're doing, but we don't show them. And so I just always, especially with motivating women to be there, just don't wait. So this is like behind, I'll have all my positive things that remind me. I always say, make sure you have those too. I know you do because I see your picture behind you that I was looking at also, but just to have things around you that you're going to have those spaces where you come in. And I know you probably can't see this, but this,
Ah,
yeah, so I have a lot of things. And also, I will tell you this. I'm going to turn this light off. Sorry, I'm making extra noise here. But I want to say this, which is funny. Don't, and don't forget to put pictures of you. Okay. So people always say, there's a thing, and this has to do again with developing yourself as a leader. People are just like, I don't want to put pictures of myself because it might seem like I'm worshiping myself for that. It's not. It is recognizing your brain, recognizing yourself in leadership roles continues to, the subconscious and conscious brain. It keeps you moving more and more forward. But not only that, you continue to bring other people in, as I said, into your space. So when you have pictures up that show you doing things with other people, making them part of the process, it again, when we're talking about that, that is the most powerful thing you do. So when someone steps into your space, make sure your space reflects who you are. So even if I wasn't in this office right now and someone came in, Andre, you came in and you sat here, you'd be like, oh, I know what this woman's about. I know what she stands for. I know, and you can, and my most
mm.
important thing that I love is this right here. And these are all my books. Um,
Oh my gosh, I have some of those books.
I love and I have some down here also, but those books let you know that I care about reading. I care about this. I have pictures of women in my office. Make that space where you are, no matter where you are, reflect who you
Mm.
are. So when someone comes into your space, and even if you're not there, they can say, I'm pretty sure I know who this person is. And that's important as women. I got my finger over that. I think that is something we're afraid to do also. And I know I've even tempered to do I put a picture of my family or do I not? And I can tell you in the State House, I don't have pictures of my family up here because it is something to me I keep private and personal. But I do have pictures of my community and what I stand for. So make sure your space reflects you no matter where you are.
Ah, I love that. You've inspired me. I'm going to change some things around in my office today and put some of my books that really mean a lot to me out
Definitely.
like that.
Because people will be able to come in your space and say, I know who she is. Oh, and like you said,
Yeah.
that book is that's something that's special. And those books that I have up are also from talk about people with disabilities, which is important to me. And so I don't want to keep moving around making things wavy. I'll sit back down. But just to end, I don't want people like us or people called women, I'll say, to feel that they can't be bold and they can't be beautiful and also can't be feminine. That's who makes us who we are. You don't have to change any of that.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure you're centered. Don't change that because I
Yeah.
wear lipstick. I'm sorry when I go work out, I'm putting my mascara on. I come in here, I'm doing that. Uh, but make sure that it's your reflection. It's good. We need that. We need that. It's
Yes.
authentic.
Yeah, that was one of my first things when I first got into coaching women and women in leadership. I wanted them to know you don't have to give up the feminine side. You don't have to give up what makes you you and become someone else. You really can do it all. Have it all.
And I'm glad you told me that because you struggle with that, and that's something that you are going to struggle with as a woman leader. How male you should be when I say male, like forceful and assertive, and at
Yes.
the same time, maybe I shouldn't be emotional, but emotions are good because when if you're feeling for something, then you have a strong connection and you're going to make good choices. It's when you're not in control of your emotions, and that's what this perception is. That's not true. I do have feelings. I am emotional because I care. And when you care about something, you're going to put more of your heart into it, right? Uh,
Yes.
but I don't need to wear. Sometimes I wear a tie, like I wear my little. Sometimes I don't. The thing I could add this last thing is to the one I think I did have to learn is to like move away from being sexualized. That's very where women are very feminine, And we might not mind, wearing a shirt that might be a little, lower cut. Maybe you didn't mean to do that, or showing your arms or something like that. It is something I had to learn, that we still have to be feminine without allowing it to move into being sexualized. And while that seems, I'm sure you can talk about this far better than I can, because I had to have someone coach me on that. They were like, you want to be seen as being feminine, and that's great. Like, my hair, your makeup, whatever makes you feel good. But at the same time, I'm very conscious of how I dress. Not that I wouldn't. How do I say this? Because this is one of those hard conversations that I think is important we have with women, is that you don't need to be covered up from head to toe, but you also want people to focus here and on your face,
Right.
what you're saying, and you don't want to give them a chance to be distracted by anything. So it's not what you do, is what other people are looking to do to not take you seriously, or not to look you in your eye. In that, I want your face, I want you to look me right here. So yep, I have on a turtleneck today.
Yeah.
Wearing, and it's not because I wouldn't wear this without a turtleneck. It means that at certain times when I'm talking business, I need you to be completely focused here. So I might wear all black. The other thing I'll have to say is another good thing to tell women is I'm almost 5'9". So I learned this from a friend here, Alicia Wagner. I'll give her a shout out because I love this. Wearing heels. So I always tell women, you don't have to wear them all the way in. Just when you get in there, pop them on, because I have to save my feet also. But also something about height with women. It's just wearing your heels. Don't be afraid to wear your heels. Don't be short. Like, be tall, be proud. And it is that feminine part that makes us who we are. So we shouldn't lose it.
Yeah, 100%. So it's funny you say that because I'm very short. I'm only 5 feet tall, and
Okay. Wow. Okay.
I've always worn my heels. And some people are like, "Oh, you're trying too hard." No, that just makes me who I am. And
Amen.
yeah, I love that. I
I think
love
it's
it.
important. I love that you do that, because there's something like, oh, you're wearing heels, or you're wearing all black, or you're doing that. You dress for the success that you want to have.
Yes.
And you don't have to use anything else but who you are to do that. And so I think that's very important, that we don't, well, she must have done this, she must have done that to get there. No, she did exactly what it took her to be successful to get there. And that was it. And so we have to be able to feel confident that if you want to wear heels, if you want to wear your cute dress, you want to do that, just make sure that you're always feminine, because that's fine if that's what you want to do. At the same time, don't feel you can't wear makeup or you can't do that. You are a woman. Hear that roar. And I think that's
Yes.
important, that we don't change what makes us who we are. That's important.
Yeah, that's one of my big mottos. Be you, and they'll adjust.
That's right. That's
Right?
and they will. And I think people think they can't. And when I say think, people like women, we get the, well, I don't, again, all of this self doubt. And I just hope that more women will be excited about running for office, to know that if you already work 4 times harder, 6 times harder, 8 times harder, then you're already there. We just need you to show up. Just need
Yeah.
you to show up. That's
Cool.
it.
All right. Well, I can't wait to do this in person. The next
That's
time I'm coming to your office so I can see all of the stuff on your walls
I love
and
that. And
meet you in
and then we can put a
person.
picture up here. We'll take a picture and put it up there. So that would be
Oh, awesome. Yeah. All
awesome.
right, Erica, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
And um, yeah, that's all. Hang on.